Nailed it.
I nailed you. And then I scratched you with my nail. Do you want to tell the good people at home what just happened? Fresh start. New page.
New life.
It's a metaphor.
What?
New life?
Wow.
Wow.
What just happened, Carolyn?
You tell the people.
You tell the people what happened.
You tell them.
You tell them what happened. Otherwise, you're going to hear about this when we get home. Well, we are home, so you're going to hear about it.
One of these days, we're going to actually have the camera on when we fight. That wasn't a fight. That was just that was what I like to call mismatched expectations.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest parts of relationships and keeping a strong relationship is
burying your feelings and not talking about anything.
That you're gonna have constant miscommunication. Like, I feel like that should be the marital advice that everyone gets, or
pretending
relationship.
That you're just speaking two completely foreign languages at all times, and maybe sometimes you match up, and most of the time.
Yeah, like once every month, just expect it.
Yeah,
you know, just expect it.
What do you mean by once every month?
You're gonna have a miscommunication. Things are gonna go wrong. So
that feels
July checked off. So we can't have another one until August, so be on your best behavior.
Okay, what happened was we yesterday had a scenario where I thought that we had a meeting that was on something entirely different, so, which was kind of funny. Like, I came to the meeting.
It was very funny.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
I came to the meeting thinking it was one thing, it was another thing. But I just was like frazzled that whole meeting because I was not prepared to be talking about the thing we were talking about, which you will see on one of these videos, if it hasn't gone up already. But the learning from that was, okay, next time before we have one of these meetings, let's just connect for 15 minutes to get on the same page before we hit record so we can actually have it be a productive meeting. I came with that mentality to this meeting, which is going to be all about our 4-day onboarding sequence for anyone who joins our Wandering Aimfully email list. And our whole idea this whole time has been to transition our Working to Live workshop into like a free email course kind of thing. So that's what I was here to do, but I haven't looked at Working to Live for quite a while. So I thought, okay, let's just sit for 10 minutes or whatever and go over the Working to Live content so that when we hit record for you guys, we're not sitting here going, wait, what was this about again? What are we trying to communicate? So at least we had like a good understanding of what we were trying to say, so then we could break it up into 4 days. What happened was I was sitting here doing all of that, and I looked over and Jason was...
I was truthfully looking for a great GIF. The GIF from Shrek where the cat, his eyes get really big.
Yeah, Puss in Boots.
Just so you know, I searched cat eyes and that one didn't, it was bad SEO in GIF world.
See,
so
I would have been happier if
Boots.
you had just like clued me in, because I could have told you Puss in Boots and it could have been a team.
But let's also say, it wasn't like I was just sitting there being like, Caroline's gonna figure everything out. I already had everything in my head. And also, I'm a little bit more familiar with Working to Live than you are, even though you created the entire thing, the framework, because I wrote the post on Jason Does Stuff for it. So I basically made a written version of it. I broke it into 4 actionable steps. I did this for my previous email list, the Action Army. I've also helped multiple people in the Wandering Aimfully community go to that post, do the exercises, and do it. So I did feel like I was coming at this a little bit more, not prepared, that's not the right context of that word, but like mentally ready.
Yeah.
So,
but what's funny, and this is the thing about relationships, right, is like, I didn't know any of that. So all I experienced in that situation was, here I am trying to get focused doing this meeting, and I look over and Jason is searching for cat eye GIFs, and it just felt like, I think we've shared with you guys before, but this, has come up before, where it's like, I feel like in that moment, it felt like the onus was on me to be the one to be prepared in this meeting and to like lead the meeting. And I just felt like you were just sort of like along for the ride, which is not how it was at all, because like you said, you had already done that work beforehand. But in that moment, that's what it felt like. And it just sort of ruffled my feathers. So that's what happened before we turned on the camera. But we just talked it out, and you were like, listen, I know what I'm doing here. Here are the 4 action steps. I already wrote the article. Like, I have a good idea about it. We did find out though that I feel like you had one idea of this meeting, which was like, where is Working to Live gonna live on the news site and all this stuff. And I was more coming to this meeting of like, I'm gonna work on the workflows on Thursday, so I need to know what the emails are gonna be. So that it ended up being a good thing that we could get on the same page with that. But anyway, that happens, and it happens all the time. And
once a month.
every time you say once a month, you realize that it sounds like you're relating it to like me being a woman and
yeah. 100% didn't think that.
I understand that, but I just wanted to make that very clear for the camera.
I literally didn't even think that.
You kept being like, once a month.
Do you realize, do you believe me?
No, I do. I totally believe you.
Like 100% I don't think about that.
I totally believe you.
Yeah.
But I just wanted the people at home to know that it wasn't you being like,
but also,
this
guys,
difficult woman over here.
But also, guys, it's probably her time of the month. You know what I mean?
It's not.
Anyway, okay. So the point here is to give you guys the truthful and honest look at how two people work together and deal with miscommunications. Now it's to actually move into the thing that we think is going to be the most important thing to qualify our potential customers going forward.
Yep.
So if you watched our customer journey marketing plan meeting, better name to be determined soon, we basically talked about the very beginning, the awareness part of that journey. This working to live email sequence is the bridge between
awareness and
interest. So it's important. It's actually one of the most important things because it's kind of the first foray into the Wandering Aimfully world after someone's checked out our website or
I think actually it's from interest to consideration because just by signing up for the email list, they're saying they're interested. Mm-hmm. So,
anyhow.
Yeah, so the whole point of this is to basically take someone who said, hey, like, this Jason and Caroline duo, they seem kind of fun. I'm kind of interested in what they have to say. And as Jason has pointed out many times, a person's never going to be as interested, typically, as they are in those first few days of signing up for your email list. You've come into their sphere, they've taken action, you're fresh in their minds. And so it's really important to get a piece of content, in our opinion, a piece of content in front of them that can further qualify them so that they can go, okay, I'm really into this and I potentially could see myself as a Wandering Aimfully member, or this isn't for me. I don't really want to talk about how intentional business. I actually don't even have a business right now. It just feels a little bit too entrepreneurial for me, so that they can kind of like unsubscribe and get themselves, like, what's the word? Self-select themselves out.
Yep.
And so that's the purpose of this. So our idea is to have it be sort of a 4-day email sequence. We will have an option for someone to say, opt me out of this. I just want to get the Monday newsletter, so they can basically like skip ahead. But I think it's really, it's definitely one of the things that we've developed this workshop that we've gotten the most positive feedback on. So
there's no doubt in my mind that this Working to Live framework is one of our most beneficial frameworks we've come up with because it's been the most beneficial for us.
Yes.
Which I think is how you know, specifically for you at home, if you're watching this and you're creating your thing and you're thinking about like, what is the thing that you've done that's most impacted you that you can help give to other people that can impact them? And Working to Live is that thing for us.
And what do you feel is most central and core to your belief system and your differentiator?
Yep.
So for us, we know that Wandering Aimfully is a lot about, it's going back to that sort of tagline before. It's helping people earn more so they can live more. So it's blending this business and lifestyle, but in an intentional way, and making sure that you're trying to improve your business, but always for the purpose of living better and living a more values-based, intentional life. And that's what the Working to Live framework does. It does exactly that. So that's why we picked it as our sort of onboarding sequence. So now our goal is to take it from a video workshop and a blog post on Jason's site to a 4-day email sequence. How do we break that up? How do we make it information rich without making it too overwhelming? Mm-hmm. Do we want it to be in video format? Do we not?
All right, so 2 things. One thing, your first ninja tactic hot tip is to understand, if you are building an email list, that the welcome email / first couple of emails you send people right after they sign up are the most engaged they will ever be. So utilize that and do something with it. So that's your hot tip. Second thing, if it's possible, this is not a criticism of you, but it would be very beneficial to me. Could we close the tab on your browser that shows Twitter, like the home feed growing number? I can see it. Since we've recorded, it's gone from 2 to 7 to 13.
I cannot believe that your brain even notices that. Yeah. I've never even noticed that that's a number.
And that's literally like, those are the things. So the reason why I brought this up, because I think it's really important. Like,
is it really important?
I couldn't focus while you were talking. Like, I could hear you and I understood what you were saying and I was following along, but my brain was literally like, I'm watching the number grow. I'm watching the number grow. And it's amazing. Like, our brains just do that. Like, they look for those things. So another hot tip is to remove that stuff. Like, if you want to have Twitter open, it's totally fine, but not when you're trying to get something done, because your brain is going to go, oh, number, ooh, number increased, ooh, number increased.
First of all, not everyone's brain's going to do that, because some of us have been blessed with the gift of just willful ignorance.
Blind ignorance.
And I do not want Twitter open while we do this meeting.
And that was, again, not a criticism of you. I was just more just like, my brain it could not stop looking.
Which is why
it was such a small tab.
I did break out tabs into, but they were below the other
I could
tabs.
see it. I could still see it.
Okay, are you okay? Do you need to take
feeling,
a sip?
yeah, there's no red.
Oh.
Wow,
you guys saw it here first. He's throwing stuff at me.
Cue the replay. Watch the violence happen.
Can you do it slow-mo?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, so this unedited meeting now has edits. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's how we do it.
Production quality. You've heard of lifestyle creep. This is production value creep.
Could we hide your bookmark bar?
Oh my God. Come with your own computer. Do your own thing.
Yeah, but if I come on my own computer, there's literally nothing on it except for the thing that I'm doing. But then I look over at yours and I'm like, oh man.
I'm putting this
no,
out of spite.
No.
I have a window with about 12
Let's move on.
tabs
Let's
open.
move on. Make that guy full screen for me or something, or just put it back there. Look how cute my pen is.
You are such a little delicate flower that you need all these things removed. It's like, just focus on where you need to focus on.
I have emotions.
You're cute.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So breaking this up into 4 sections.
That's the goal.
Here's the first question before we even get into the 4 sections.
Yes.
When someone signs up to our email list, we use double opt-in confirmation with Drip. So the reason we do that is a couple things. First and foremost, Drip forces it now, so you basically have to do it.
We've been list bombed before.
We've been list bombed was the second thing, which basically means someone somewhere hates their life and they want to bring upon pain to other people, so they just send a whole bunch of spam emails. When you try and send an email out, it flags email servers around the world, which then puts your email on a blacklist, then your emails don't get sent. It's not fun. So we do double opt-in confirmation using Drip, our email provider. The first email that someone will get is just a, please confirm your email address. We're not doing anything with that, that's standard. When they click that, 2 things can happen. 1, they're gonna get sent to a page on our site.
Confirmed. Yeah.
So what do we want to put on that page for the first step? I think we should just like nail this down here.
Okay. I mean, I just never think of anything other than the standard stuff. I mean, obviously the copy will say something to the effect of, cool, you're all confirmed. Like, check your inbox, you'll get our first installment. Like, do you think it's like a little preview of Working to Live?
I think so.
Okay.
And I think what we should really highlight on that is like why that matters.
Yeah.
So even if they've signed up, I just really want someone to know, like, this changed our life. This exact process kind of revolutionized you, changing how you made money. You know, it's gotten us to not let our businesses kind of control our lives and to build like a daily schedule that we love. So
yeah. Yeah, and kind of speak to that. It's like, if you signed up for this because you want to make a change so that your business doesn't run your life, you know, you could see a pretty big change in just a week of following the exercises in this series.
Okay, cool. So I think that's what's on that page. If there's anything else, you know, we can also just put like reminder of who we are.
Do you think we need a reminder of who we are?
I just think like any chance that we have while someone is super engaged, just to like pepper in a little bit of our personality, you know, I don't know. Like, I'm just immediately thinking like, you might think like maybe Caroline does the laundry and Jason does most of the business stuff, but like it's kind of the opposite in our relationship. Like, Jason bakes the bread, does the laundry, washes the dishes. Well, you wash the dishes, and then Caroline's the one who's like doing all the frameworks and setting everything up, and like she designed everything.
You do make really good bread though.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it like 2 months ago. I'm not gonna have this false compliment on video here.
No, but lately it's been so good.
Yeah, this is a false compliment. I'm not taking it.
I think your recipe changed. I think it's gotten better.
Okay.
So that's good.
Post confirm.
And so you're thinking that in the workflow, as soon as they confirm, then they get sent. When you click that confirmation link in the email for the double opt-in confirm, I know we're super in the weeds, but this is what you have to think about. It goes to this confirmed page. I know, but in the workflow, the first email is going to get sent to them.
Right. So that's next step. So what is first email? Is first email the first lesson of Working to Live?
Yeah.
Okay. So lesson 1. Working
My
to
first
Live.
instinct was to make like the first lesson basically like all of these. So I'm looking at the Working to Live slides that we did for the original workshop, but like there's this whole front section where we really talk about like why it's important and to kind of set the stage for, you know, don't let your business run your life.
I think that's the first email.
Well, I think it is also, but I also want to send them away with something on that first day that's like immediately useful.
So here's a question which I think relates is, do they have to wait each day or can they self-move forward if they're like, oh, I'm loving this, I want to click and get the next email right now? I know that adds complexity, but this is one of our values in creating things for people is that like we don't want to hold information hostage if we don't have to. I know it adds some complexity, so I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I've already created a workflow like that, so I could just duplicate it. It wouldn't be that hard.
Because it's based on Typeform, isn't it? That's how you did it before?
That's right. That is, I don't want to do all that.
Okay. Because that's the option. So let's go down this track a little bit here forward. I think in our mind of minds, the way that we had thought about breaking up this Working to Live framework was helpful email with a worksheet that you download or that you do. Now, is there a way that we go one step further and we do it with Typeform and we ask them questions that are in the Working to Live framework that they can answer and that they can save and that we can have data on, which could help us potentially learn more about our subscribers, then we also have that advancement if they want it. I know it adds technicality to it, but I think you and I would both agree that
we want the person that
you're getting, the person's getting a better experience. And we learned this from Brendan Dunn when we paid Brendan Dunn good money to learn from him, and everything that he did was like, when I just sent people emails, there's nothing for them to accomplish. Like they have to do all the work. But if I give them the link to the Typeform and they go in and they fill out the questions, they feel like they've done something and there's like achievement there. And I think that this is just something that we should really plan from the get-go in everything that we do.
Okay. So day one is like why, like intro to Working to Live idea. It's not even really a framework yet. And then what's like the first exercise that they can do?
Yeah, I think if there are like some bigger picture questions we can have them answer would be really nice. So and maybe it's the ideal, like maybe it's this stuff.
Right, that's what I was thinking is like if we can kind of...
I say this stuff, why don't we tell them what that was?
So so the format of the workshop version of Working to Live is like this. Intro to Working...
Also, sorry.
What?
I'll link my post below in the description. So if you wanted to like pause, read that real quick, get your bearings, be able to see the things that we're gonna reference worksheet wise, because it's just too much work for me to put stuff over top screen, plus it's distracting and blah, blah, blah. So I'll put that link in the description if you're like, oh guys, I wish I could have just like watched this with you.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And so, yeah, and Jason's blog post is I mean, it tracks pretty closely to the workshop.
I can add the slides too.
Yeah, maybe add the slides as well. You can just add the drive link or whatever.
Merch in the description, everybody.
Merch. So the format of it is very much like setting up this whole Working to Live mindset idea, which is this idea of planning your life first and identifying the ideal lifestyle that you want to live, and then reverse engineering your business to get you there. And so we have 4 different action steps and like action steps to get you there basically. And so the action steps are... So it's like intro and then...
Got a little pirate action there.
Arr.
The action steps be...
So
action step number 1, identify your life metrics and schedule them before ye work. How was it?
You are so good at that. What? How did I not know you...
How have I never done a pirate before?
I don't know, but bring it more to our lives, please.
Here's a fun fact about me. I'm mediocre at impersonations.
I would say mediocre plus.
Yeah, mediocre plus. I feel like that's like a model of car that you might buy. I'll have the mediocre plus. Oh, you mean you want a Prius? I think even a Prius is not a mediocre plus.
Yeah, no, you're mediocre plus at impersonations.
Yeah.
I'm mediocre plus at impersonations, at repeating things that people say to me.
Yeah.
Like voices.
I'd say mediocre, for being honest.
Mediocre plus.
Maybe just mediocre squared.
Like exponentially more mediocre than
Yeah.
mediocre. Okay, I'll take it.
I'll take it. All right. Deal.
Okay, back to the topic at hand. So here are the 4 action steps. The first one is identifying your life metrics and scheduling them before work. So we have this whole scheduling exercise that's about kind of planning your week and doing the life stuff first, so that you're not just relegating that to the margins, but that you're actually giving yourself business blocks around your life blocks. So that's the first big exercise.
So that's going to go in email number 1.
I think so.
Okay, so let's...
No, because I think the scheduling thing is like so its own thing. So what I...
Right.
So I think we...
Giga.
We intro Working to Live, and then we talk about identifying your ideal, which is much more questions based.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
so,
I know you are.
In the first email, I think we do just the questions, not the
Right.
schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's literally just those 6 questions. So
Yeah.
the 6 questions are: how many hours do you want to work really?
I'm having. Do you know what you're doing? It's giving
a
me
little
like
bit of Creed. A little bit of Creed.
No, it's giving me.
Can you take me higher?
It's giving me SpongeBob SquarePants like vibes, and
I
I'm
don't know.
really not liking.
Is there a character in there that sounds like that? I've never watched.
Well, I'm pretty sure
SpongeBob.
the voiceover in the beginning is like, "Hi," it's like that.
It's what? What is it? What's the SpongeBob?
I don't know, but before they do the intro song, it's like something matey.
There are a lot of opportunities for me to edit this video, and I'm gonna have to refrain because it'll take too much time. All right,
Can
the
you
questions.
give me an eye patch for just the next 5 minutes?
No, I'm not doing that. The 6 questions that are identifying your ideal life. How many hours a week do you really want to be working? What headaches are you tired of reliving over and over? What do you never make time for that you're tired of neglecting? Can you unhighlight that? What are you always wishing you had more of in your days? What are the things you value most? What activities bring you the most joy and peace? So I think this is really great because this sets the tone for the person who just subscribed to essentially raise their hand and say, you know what? I'm not living my ideal life. I admit that, and I'm gonna do something about it by filling out the type form. Like, to me, that's powerful.
For sure.
So that's number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Then I think number 2 is we basically say, you know, based on your answers from number 1, let's talk about our first like exercise that can really change things for you, and it's this scheduling exercise, scheduling life first.
And that's the calendar blocking?
Yes. And that's where we have people basically identify their non-negotiables, like when it comes to life. So, like,
now, is there
I want to go to the gym.
Is there a way to think about this as a type form as well? I don't think I spelled non-negotiables right at all.
I don't know. This is much more like...
Well, no, what I was going to say is for them to write out, because this is there's non-negotiables and there's something else in here, right?
And nice to haves.
And nice to haves. So what I'm thinking is there a place where we give them just a type form that basically says, like, here's 2 questions, and then I think in type form you can say, like, click here to download the sheet and fill it out. So, and the reason why I want to force someone to go back into the type form on day 2, or just email number 2, is because I want to continue to, again, that achievement. So if we can get them just to, like, write out their nice haves, write out their non-negotiables, they get emailed this stuff, they're going to have it as well. We get, you know, it in our system on the back end, and then if we can have the calendar blocking exercise below that, that'd be perfect.
Okay, so then that's number 2.
Now, I have an intermediary question, which I can save to the end if you would like. And the question is, accompanying post on our site if they don't just want to be an email. So should we create these lessons as kind of hidden posts on our site?
I know. Well, that's what I was thinking too. And then it's like, do we do little intro videos so it's like our personalities like explaining this stuff instead of written form? I don't know.
Yeah, that adds a whole other layer of complexity as well. I would say if we're like MVPing this thing, minimum viable product, we don't do the posts for now, and we see about improving it later. Once we just see how people get through this.
Okay.
All right. So email number 2 is going to have non-negotiable questions and then the calendar blocking exercise that you can download.
Yes.
Okay. So type form. This is rare that I'm writing down more stuff than you are, by the way.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, 3rd email.
I think we're going to have 5 days.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, 3rd email.
3rd email is going to be breaking down your life metrics into measurable goals.
Life metrics. Whoa. To measurable goals. So are we going to have questions for that as well? I mean, I guess we're just going to like make up questions.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
So this is where, just to give you guys an example here, second hot tip, pop, 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 is if you can think a little bit forward of how you could see this existing that would be even more valuable, this is a good time to just make notes on that. So like immediately I'm thinking in my mind, I would love to see this as an actual tool that someone could go and fill out. And so they literally go through and answer all these questions in one shot and they hit like submit and it literally pumps out a PDF for them or something that they can then have that's like completely filled out, because it's a little bit difficult to like have these different type forms that you get emailed and all this different stuff. It's very separated, as opposed to if you could do this all in one place and
like,
then
here's your plan.
Right. And like, so I'm just saying the tip there is like, you're not gonna do that now. As much fun as it is to think about that, you put that off, but you just keep it as a later, because if this thing does well, then you wanna improve upon it.
Right, for sure. Okay, so that's this little exercise of, you know, what your metrics are, what they are currently, and what you want them to be.
Okay.
And then, okay, next email.
All right, so the 4th email.
So this is a big one. This is our number, our minimum monthly magic number. So this is where we start going, okay, here's the ideal life that you have identified. Now let's reverse engineer your business to get you there. And this is where we encourage people to come up with whatever that minimum number is that they need their business to make in order to live that lifestyle. And we have some different ways that they can do that.
Yeah, I like this one though, because we break it down into monthly living expenses, monthly business expenses, paying off debt, peace of mind cushion. And we walk through like how those things get done. But I clearly see that in the type form of like, fill this out, fill this out, fill this out,
right.
Which is really nice because like, I don't think many people actually write these things down in one place. Like you see them separate, like it's in my bank account over here, it's in my Xero or QuickBooks over here. And they're so separate that they never come together and you actually see the big picture here. And that's really what we're trying to show.
Yep.
We're also trying to show the minimum big picture, which I think is a very important thing people don't do.
What do you mean?
We're trying to show you like, hey, you think you need to live off of $5,000 a month. When you add up your living expenses and maybe you take a couple things out of there you don't need, your business expenses, your paying off debt, your peace of mind cushion, you actually can live off of $3,500. We just saved you $1,500 a month by showing you this exercise.
Right. And it starts to become a lot more doable.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not so overwhelming in your brain. Okay, and then the last day, so write down the number.
Yeah, I think if we can really show, that's actually, I think, a good idea for this. Tooting my own horn here. Give estimates before. I think it would be cool if we could show people their before and after numbers. So like before they actually write down the actuals, what are your estimates? Like what are you thinking you're living off of right now before you actually go and look at the real numbers? Because if someone writes down like, oh, I think I spend $5,000 a month, and you go and look at the actual data and you actually spend $6,000 a month, you now realize that you've probably been overspending every month by $1,000. So that may be credit card debt, that may be just money that's coming out of your savings or what have you. And seeing that is also a huge change that you can make. So I just think if we think about that, doing an estimated before number could be really powerful for people.
An estimated before number.
So get them to guess, like, hey, what do you think you're spending on your monthly expenses, your business, like those categories right now? If you don't know for certain, what do you think they are? Now go and find out and then come back and compare the two.
Right.
so that you can clearly see, holy crap, I thought I spent a lot less, or
Yeah.
or wow, I thought I spent a lot more and I don't.
Right.
You with me?
I am. My hesitation is that, do we really think someone in that moment is going to, like, what we did before is we just made it a little bit more doable. We didn't say, like, go and, like, download your latest data and add everything up. Like, I just think that's asking a lot of a person. So we kind of did base it on guesstimations, but.
Yeah, I think we should just explore that and see what we think it could be, because I totally agree with you. Like, it does take a little bit of time to go through and get all of your numbers, but if there's a way we can kind of like meet that exercise in the middle.
Okay, and then so the next day is the last exercise, and that's basically like how to make the changes to because the thought here is that if you set up your number, and let's say it's $5,000, and right now your business is only making you $3,000 a month, then how do you make up the gap?
Yeah.
So this is all about, like, you know, coming up with different ways to improve your business, earn more, so you can live more.
Nice, babe. Nice.
Oh, and so you have 3 different strategies here, and I think this is just perfect. We just go through all of this and show them exercises and everything. Mm-hmm. Now, then the thing goes, do we do a follow-up day where we talk about kind of buttoning it up and, like, these types of things, short-term pain for long-term gain, what are you willing to trade, like sacrifices, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of...
Yeah, what turned into a 4-part email is now a 6-part email, which it doesn't scare me because it's really helpful. And again, I think our point is we want to put in those emails that someone can opt out, and they can say, like, hey, like, this isn't for me, or I've got this stuff on lock, like, I don't need this anymore.
Or we can consolidate a little bit and make them longer and less days. Mm-hmm. Like, what was the life metrics one? Is that number 3?
Yeah.
What was the one before it?
The scheduling your life first, so doing the calendar blocking and doing the non-negotiables.
I think we could combine those two. Because life metrics isn't really that big of an exercise. It's literally just saying, like, hey, how are you now going to measure that this schedule is effective?
Now, are we basically bringing this up because we're afraid that 6 emails is too much?
I do think it is too much.
Yeah,
I think even for a thing that I was the most excited about, there's no chance that I make it through all 6 of those emails. Mm-hmm. It's just the attention span of a human. Like, by day 4, I'm probably like, even if it's super valuable, things are getting in the way and this and that, and then I'm falling off, you know? Mm-hmm. 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 But I think that's a really natural... Like, I actually think that's a better decision because it increases, like, I don't think that 3rd email is that, like, value rich. Mm-hmm. So by combining with the 2nd one, we make that one super valuable. Then the next one's the number, which is super valuable. The last one is business tactics to actually improve your business. That's super valuable. And
so then are we saying 5 emails?
So this would be
these 2?
1, 2, 3, 4... And so now the question becomes, do you want to include, like, the conclusion in number 4, or do you want to make a 5th one?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, on one hand, I see jamming a whole bunch of extra value in that 4th email, and then we've kept the emails shorter so that we know that hopefully they're going to open them, but they're longer, so they may not get through them all. And then I see it the other way, which is like, keep the emails a little less in length and you 1 more email, and that, like, wrap up email is kind of like the thing. I could go either way on it. Part of me thinks to do the 5th email as its own wrap up, and then it also links to the recorded version of this workshop if someone wants to, like, save that and go back to it. I think we do that. Cool. Cool with everybody at home? Cool.
So we're saying that Working to Live then is available to, as the workshop is available to everyone, not just Wandering Aimfully members.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because right now it's, I mean, technically it's available to everyone right now. So
Okay.
last email. So this is wrap up, sacrifice, and then link to workshop recording. Okay. And then they're on.
Are you gonna turn this into a guide?
Yeah. I just hadn't done it yet because of this meeting.
Okay.
So.
I'll probably use this as like the framework for the emails.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, so can you renumber these? So this will be 2. So just scratch that out. This will be 3, 4, and 5. It hurts his little heart to scratch stuff out.
I hate scratching stuff. I write with a pen all the time and I barely make mistakes. It's no big deal. I'm mediocre plus.
I embrace imperfection and I love scratching stuff out and changing it because you know what? Life changes sometimes.
I also embrace imperfection as well, just not usually when I'm writing.
You're mediocre at imperfection and I'm mediocre plus at imperfection.
I think you're an advanced.
A plus,
yeah,
advanced imperfection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the advanced levels of imperfection, so you're welcome. Okay.
Once a month.
So.
Oh, throwback joke. Okay, so that gives us the emails.
So
that
then-
gives us how this is broken down.
Yes.
So
what needs to happen?
What needs to happen? So Thursday, you are going to create the workflows. We can tag team making the type form if that's useful. I mean, I don't know that it's any help for me to make the type forms.
The type forms are just such whatever. Let's just see how far I can get on Thursday.
Okay.
And then if I need you to come in and help me, then you can.
Okay.
But in my mind, you already did the work to format the blog post, so I'm just gonna use that as my template.
Yeah.
And then add stuff and make it designed and stuff. Cool.
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 Okay, so, and then maybe the next step after this is just to, in looking at how the flow goes, also once a month. You like that, don't you? So user enters the email list, they go through the emails, and then after that 5th email, I wrote 6 twice. My brain just literally remembered I did that. That was weird.
So we already actually did
So after they go through that 5th email, basically they get dropped into our main weekly newsletter, which we haven't discussed this per se. Do we want to create our emails as an automation, or do we want everyone to be on the live? Emails are happening going forward.
We did talk about this. It was just a really long time ago, and I'm trying to find the thing so I can jog your memory.
Well, do you remember what the answer is? You can just tell me the answer. I trust you.
Yeah, it'll be broadcasts.
Okay, so not to build an automation of previous articles and whatnot.
Correct.
So people just get dropped in where they get dropped in.
Correct. So.
Oh yeah, look at this guy. This is nice.
Land on our website, sign up for the newsletter. They get the onboarding sequence, and then they get the Monday weekly newsletter. And then there's a little bit of a complicated thing that will happen where if they're a new subscriber, like they haven't gone through a sales sequence, then they'll get the week-long sales sequence. And if they have already been through a sales sequence for Wandering Aimfully, then they'll basically just get one email that says, hey, this is now open.
Cool.
So we already did all of this.
It's amazing when you work on something long enough that you just forget.
I also already created
the basic workflow. Nice. Okay, I'll link to this as well. So this is the marketing strategy post.
Yeah. Which is really just our email sequences strategy. Just so that you guys can have that. That'll be in the old description as well. So that you can, we just looked at this and we're like, oh, hey, look at that. And then you guys are like, what the heck are you guys looking at? Try to be helpful with That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's what friends are
cute little
for.
Graphic I made.
Yeah, you go into the email and then you come out the bottom.
Boop.
That's like how babies are made,
You
right
get
there.
pooped out. You go in the top and then you get pooped out.
All right, do you feel like that wraps up our working to live?
I do. And now how are you gonna get this into my brain?
Well.
Your eyelashes are really long.
Thank you.
You can just take a picture of it, it's fine.
I can take a picture of it, or I can, do we want to write this up as an article on Wellblame?
We are going to do that. So can you just transcribe that?
Yeah, so I'll just put this into a post for now, just in notes, and then we can build it out later.
Deal.
Thanks for coming down to Jason's Mediocre Plus. Nailed it.
I nailed you. And then I scratched you with my nail. Mediocre Plus.
I'm just letting that simmer.
I'm turning red. Okay, let the people at home go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.